Chris Lynch News with Williams Corporation. Invest in your property at williamscorporation.co.nz. Tony, good to see you. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, good to see you too, Chris.
I want to start off by asking you about the anti-road user operation that police conducted over the weekend.
Yeah.
That was described as a success. Why?
Well, we got some information that they were, planning to gather in big numbers. And I suppose that, we get a lot of complaints from the public about them. We know that they cause a lot of damage to roads, and also the risk that's involved in their behaviours can be really next level. So, we got into positions where we actually had we dedicated a resource to going and targeting them and policing them. And we had in terms of outcomes, it's really positive, I think, in terms of, dealing with them and dealing with the offending that they were doing on the night.
When you go to those types of operations, what's the expectation? Is it the fact that they're going to be noisy, disruptive to neighbours, no registration warrants, or all of the above?
Yeah, it can be everything, right? In fact, and also what we've seen in places that, not so much in Canterbury, but other places around the country, is that they can be violent towards police, but also to the public. So we are concerned about their behaviour. We get a lot of complaints about the noise that they create and just the disturbance they can do. Plus, we know that they are a risk to other road users and themselves. So it's important that that we bring a real strong approach to making sure that their offending is minimised as much as possible, and we outlay to them that the rules that apply to the public in terms of road use applies to them as well.
It feels like it's been a bit of a long time coming. Haven't heard much about operations to do with boy races, for want of a better word, for a long time. Is that because police have got on top of things?
Well, we monitor the group very closely, and we've got a dedicated crew here in Canterbury that do police them, but by and large we're having operations of this nature on a regular basis.
Very tragic incident over the weekend where a man lost his life after a scooter crash. I know police are asking for more assistance in terms of CCTV footage or dash cam footage. We've spoken before about the dangers of e-scooters. Has this highlighted that again? Yeah,
I suppose it does bring it back into our into our thoughts about what we're doing about them. We've had some really good engagement with the e-scooter companies, the rental ones, about the use of them, particularly with the new stadium, and trying to limit access to them around public areas where we know there's a lot of foot traffic and the like. So the e-scooter companies have told us that they've got the mechanism to reduce the speed of them in certain locations and actually prevent them from going into places too. But we just want people to. We know that they're used a lot, but we want people to use them safely.
They are becoming more and more common, aren't they? And it's not uncommon to see people probably using them in the wrong way. Two people on a scooter, you're only supposed to have one, no helmets. Yeah. Is it a frustration for police, given what you can and can't do to look after those people and tell them off?
Not so much a frustration, but we are working closely across the whole country about what's the future like in terms of the use of them as well. And I think we might see that we see some changes in this in the next year or so.
Youth crime remains an issue for Christchurch and Canterbury. The latest Oranga Tamariki briefing shows Canterbury is still one of 3 policing districts that hasn't really got on top of hasn't managed to get in control of the so-called government figures, hasn't met the government targets.
Yes, yeah.
Why not, do you think?
Well, I think actually, we had, I think I spoke to you before, we've started a youth pilot down here, so we've doubled the numbers of youth crime investigators. Because what we knew from last year, we had 2,400 offences that were committed by youth that we didn't get a chance to proactively get in front of or do something about. So we know that wasn't one youth that's committing 2,400 offences, and we also know that's not 2,400 youth that are committing one offence. So somewhere on that continuum is the number. But what we do know is that there's an opportunity to address that offending, and that's arguably what we're doing now. We're seeing an increase at this stage around youth offenders entering into the justice pipeline, and we are trying to find other mechanisms to keep them out of crime. But we probably will see that for a little bit longer before we see that bell curve start to peter off as well.
I know that RAM rates have gone down, touch wood. Is that simply, though, because not just the offenders are in the justice system process, but also they're bored by it now?
Look, there could be a bit of both, to be honest, and but we are very effective in terms of apprehension rates. And I know from time to time we've had criticisms from people saying, "Hey, I've had multiple of these offences committed here. We know they're committed by youth." But actually what we're seeing is that the offending being committed by these youth is starting to scale down. That's an anecdotal level. We are seeing this from our investigation teams are saying they're having to deal with less, but we are still having reasonably big numbers coming into our pipeline. So I think this is a really encouraging sign, and this should be, as we move forward, starting to see less and less of this harm committed in the communities.
Tony, it's pretty cold at the moment. Winter has finally come upon us, although you wouldn't think so over the weekend with the warm weather and the fires. I know that fire and emergency and police were dealing with, but however, and that means more accidents. I know that police put out a statement yesterday saying people have got to watch their speed, watch what you're doing on the roads because the roads are icy. There's obviously a concern for you with that Mackenzie district in particular.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, look, I encourage people all the time. And unique to Canterbury, I suppose, is we've actually just gone through a small drought, and yet now we're into look at the weather today. It's it's cold and drizzly. We had some really good frost this week. That would be on a much bigger scale when we get to the outer reaches, particularly into the Mackenzie Basin. So I encourage people, we need to adjust our driving for that. So the usual distance and following distances and how you might drive around a corner, that's all going to change under these conditions. And we don't always adapt very quickly to the conditions. And that's what we've got to do. Remembering the speed limit isn't a target. We encourage people to always drive to the conditions.
Do criminals get cold? I mean, do you see a decrease in crime over the winter periods, or is it or different types of crime?
Yeah, actually we do. We've got a crime calendar, a crime and crash calendar that tells us that certain times of the year we see spikes in different things. And it's by and large.
What lowers over this time of the year when it gets colder, if anything?
Yeah, well, residential burglaries can often come down at this time of year. But also we can see that family harm can come up. I mean, we're spending more time inside with our families and things, and that can be a thing that escalates family harm. So, but we do monitor and plan for, as we've traditionally seen things going up, then we plan to have more resource in those places for that.
Dare I ask it, what about crashes? Do they go up or down?
Yeah, they go up and down as well, unfortunately. Sometimes that's unpredictable. But by and large is that we know the times of the week and of the year that we're likely to see more of these things. It can be, school holidays, there's a lot more road users on the road, but we make sure that we plan for that and plan big operations. So, for example, we're about to see big numbers of people coming and going from the ski fields in our region. We'll have a police operation about making sure that they get there safely and get home safely.
So you'll have more police resource in some of the rural communities to make sure people are going at appropriate speeds to get to those ski fields?
Yeah, so we'll be dedicating our highway patrol resource to being on those routes over that period.
Do you ski?
No, I don't. It's one of those things that I tried as a kid and wasn't much good at. So no, I've never really got back into it.
Yeah, no, me neither. Tony, good to see you. Thanks so much for your time.
Yep, thanks for yours.